I spent 20 years married to a narcissist and nearly died, and here to tell my story for the benefits of others. And this time I want to talk about how a narcissist argues. They have a very classic way of arguing to where if you see that, you know you're dealing with a narcissist and you know you got to make a decision. And the primary thing that they're trying to accomplish in their arguing is to run you around in circles. And this running you around in circles is like a little bit of a turbine for them, for their ability to extract energy from you and feed on energy for themselves. So the more that they argue, the more that negativity increases, their strength increases and your strength decreases. And to give you an example of how this circling happens, I'll give you, an example of a topic that might set off one of these conversations. And I'll use, this was a post that I pinned where my wife says, "Daddy's bald." Something is degrading. I'm not necessarily insecure about that, but it's something degrading that she's saying to the kids. And at the time we were making salsa. So again, the shot of degrading me and degrading me in front of my kids happens. This happens frequently. And a lot of times this is the beginning of some of these conflicts I'm talking about. So in this case, although at this point I wasn't even at a point where I argue with her anymore because I know where it's going to go. But let's say I did. Let's say after the kids have gone and it's just the two of us, I would say, hey, this idea that you said that in front of the kids at that moment, was that necessary? You even think about the impact that might have on the kids and how they might talk about their father. And, here's the loop. So she would say, well, no, I don't really think it's a big deal. Well, it is a big deal. I would say, you're degrading me. And that's just something that's, contrary to the vows of, love and honor. And then she would say, oh, well, that was just a joke. It was just a joke. No, it wasn't a joke. I would say, that the kids may or may not know it's a joke. How would you say it's a joke? And then she would say, well, the kids wouldn't have understood it anyway. They wouldn't understand. And I'd say, absolutely, the kids understand. They get these things. They're intelligent kids. How could you think the kids would understand? Well, she would say, if the kids did understand, they would understand it was a joke. They would get it as a joke. So you can see how we're back to the beginning. And this is how it works. It's just round and round and round. And she might have her responses use little different words, and I might use different words too. I might think, well, okay, maybe I didn't explain myself very well. And this is the trap, because you start doubting yourself. It's like, well, maybe I'm not explaining it right. Maybe she's not comprehending because I'm not saying it correctly. So as we go in this circle, I'll try to say it differently to try to convince her. This whole degrading thing, I might say it differently. I might try to use some outside examples. Every time, trying again and again, we go through the same circle. I keep trying. So as it goes, my energy gets less and less. My frustration goes up and up, whereas she's feeding off this energy. She's loving it, all of it. This going through this circle, round and round and round, just winds her up and winds me down. So if you see this behavior, that it's like argument after argument or discussion after discussion, however you want to look at, that there is really no resolution. There's really never, I see your point. There's no, I'm going to try to do better. You make a good point. None of that kind of stuff. You're not going to see that as much as you try. So again, if you see that particular behavior and you see it's like, why is this happening? Every time I have this discussion, there's really no progress. And then the same degrading stuff happens again. What do I do? There is nothing you can do. You're dealing with a narcissist. You're never going to have a discussion where there's any real change. You might have fake change where they might change for a day or two, but it's going to come right back again. There is no way to resolve it. There's no way to see improvement. There's no way to see growth. So just let that go out of your mind, particularly if you see that over and over again. Let that out of your mind. You're dealing with a narcissist, and the only option is to get out, get away from it, and get out.